Hundreds of people attended the funeral of Nelson Bolender in Elkton on Tuesday morning. Bolender was well known throughout Cecil County as a public school principal, county commissioner, and avid community volunteer with organizations like the Boys and Girls Club, Elkton Alliance, and Bainbridge Development Commission. He passed away suddenly last week at the age of 77.
And this is what Dad loved. You know, we all say that Dad loved Cecil County. Cecil County is just a bunch of lines on a map. What Dad loved was you. Dad loved being a Cecil Countyan, and that's what he was proud of. And he would be very proud of you all today.
There's so much to celebrate. Nelson Bolender was a good man, blessed by God in so many ways, and that's what I want to talk about this morning for a few minutes, how God blessed Nelson Bolender and how then he in turn blessed us. Many of you call him your friend. The other day in the Whig, Mike Bullard wrote about Nelson's ready smile and his hearty laugh, and how he would put his arm around you or slap you on the back. That was Nelson. He made you feel important, and he let you know that he cared about you. He was blessed with lots and lots of friends, and yet he also had a blessing of a small number of very, very close friends as well. God blessed Nelson's life in so many ways, and God blessed all of us by putting him in our world. Kind-hearted, loving, friendly, hardworking, funny, committed, sacrificial. He was one of the best. He was a gift to all of us.
Wow. We were friends for more than 40 years, and there are many stories I remember. The list dwindles, however, when you consider the mixed company here. In fact, we're in church. Nelson was unique and very much his own person. I believe, in some respects, Nelson's legacy to us was himself. Intelligent and wise, he was a gifted educator who respected everyone, and especially students he served so well. He taught me the importance of listening to the children. They each have a story, and to help them, you have to understand their story. Loud and demonstrative at times, Nelson Bolender was a gentleman, and he was at his core a gentleman. He's irreplaceable.
When you mention the name Nelson Bolender, it reeks professionalism, integrity, and I didn't know if a lot of people were familiar with this, but he is a prankster. On one occasion, I was a guest speaker, and Nelson was in the audience, and he was sitting next to Chief Darrell Hamilton. And how many times have you been somewhere where they said, please silence all your cell phones? And it's happened to every one of us. It's happened to me in church, it's happened to other people in church, but I got up to speak. It's a large crowd. And of course my phone was on high. And as soon as I introduced myself, my phone started ringing. And I went like this. I couldn't see. And I looked out in the audience. I tried not to skip a beat. I looked in the very back, and there was Nelson and Darrell Hamilton, their shoulders shrugging like this.
Nelson and Peggy eventually purchased the beach property in Bethany area. By that time, Richard Juergens and I had retired, and the beach house became an annual vacation site for the three families. We enjoyed family, games, eating together, and sharing events of the day. As with any property, a to-do list always exists, and Nelson had a reputation for not being a handyman. And this is according to Peggy. She's the one who told me that. Nelson would inform Rich and I of the impending projects and pick our brains so he could develop his materials list. Nelson was the keeper of the list, and he enjoyed hopping in his car, turning on the air conditioning, and running to Lowe's or Home Depot to get materials. It seemed at times that his time away from the work site was unusually long. However, we theorized that he went to McDonald's or Wawa to have coffee. Nelson will be remembered by his infectious laugh and sense of fairness and compassion. He was outspoken and opinionated, And you may not always like what he said, but it was difficult to dislike the man. Finally, I would say to Nelson that the Lord is your shepherd, and you will not want. You will live on in our hearts and minds, dear friend.
Don't start up again. And I delivered mail. I was on foot for 38 years. And I don't think this was retribution on his part for some of the things I've done. I think anytime I really got close to Nelson, he was all afraid. He was scared of what I was going to say because he just didn't know what I was going to say. And I was beaten up, and I forget what street I was on. And it was about 120 degrees in the shade. Sweat was pouring out of my shoes. I was soaking wet. And this Cadillac comes up alongside. Zzz. Window went down about that far. And I saw these big pair of lips come up to that crack. He said, "Rich, is it hot out there?" Yeah, that's the kind of guy he was. There have been two men, in my opinion, with the highest level of integrity. And I'm going to change that statement a little bit right now. I said one is sitting